Today I'm going to be installing the Symphony Ambient Light Kit in my E92. Let's get to it. So the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to remove this upper piece. You're going to want to remove the AC controls, and you're going to want to remove your radio system. You don't have to remove these if you're able to snake the wire behind the radio system and the AC controls, but our first light strip is gonna go right here, right in the top. But you do have to remove this because there is a main controller box and you have to tap off of your cigarette lighter power. Now I also want to mention, you may want to pick up one of these. This is a automotive voltage tester. You could also use a multimeter, and you're also going to need some electrical connectors. I'm going to use heat shrinking butt crimps. So I got the bottom half taken apart right now, and I want my lights to come on with the headlights. I don't want them on all times. I want this to be sort of a more OEM integration. So I have this wiring looks completely different to what a stock car has. A stock car is only going to have this. I retrofitted a wireless phone charger. So on your ashtray, you're gonna have this that shines a light into the ashtray section. If you can savor it, you can. If not, this red and white wire is your ambient lighting, your stock ambient lighting, and brown is ground. But in this case, I have this, so I'm going to turn this on, see if I get 12 volts. If I do, this will be the power for the main controller. This makes it a lot easier to make sure you have proper voltage. So I already have the ground clamp on the brown, and I'm just going to touch the solder joint on the red. Oops. So I actually can't record it because it's just too hard to hold everything. But this is 11.9 volts, so I'm gonna cut these ends, strip them back, and that's what we're gonna use for this main controller box. One of these says main controller on it once you open it up. So this is the main controller kit. Gives you the QR code that you can scan for the app, and you have footlight, control button, which are these, and then you have light bar. They spell it wrong because this is a eBay Symphony Light Kit, but they give you everything you need. So this is the control main box. This is your positive negative terminal connection for the box, and then this is your manual control switch, which I don't believe you need. I'm not gonna hook it up for the time being, and yeah, I'm just gonna see if it works without this because I really don't want to have to put this somewhere. Okay, so after you have it all wired in, you want to connect the light bar to it and flick the headlights on and see if it comes on. Just like that, comes on. So now you know you got 12 volts, you know the main controller's working. Now we can get to removing the rest of this, installing the light bar, and then putting everything back. So this first one will be done. I'm not going to add one over here. You can. All you got to do is connect to the main box as well, and then run it behind here, get it through this, and then connect it here. I don't want it here because I think it's just going to be a distraction while I'm driving. This one's going to be all the way over here, not in my direct line of view. So yeah. Okay, that light strip took way longer than expected, but this is what it's going to look like in the end. You can barely even see it. Over here, I will say, you got to cut into the dashboard like this with a razor knife, just like that, so this end can hold on, or else this is just going to keep popping out. So after you have all this done and installed, next is put everything back together. Then we're going to work on the driver door. You could also do this one if you want. It's going to be rinse and repeat for both doors, so I'm only going to record the driver door. All right, next, to get the door card off, you have to pull this piece off, and then there are screws behind it. Should be 5 or 6 screws. I believe they're either Phillips or they're T10s. You want to remove all those and then pry around the edges of the door card. You also have to take this off first before you start prying around the door card. Okay, so you have the door card all off. Disconnect everything. I can't disconnect the bottom light. I don't know why. Just the connector does not want to come out. Next thing you want to do is, this is your ambient light harness. This is the fiber optic connection for your fiber optic lighting line. This connector sits in here. This connector will be in here. You want to gently pull everything out. So this will come out like this. It will come out from this way. This you could just pull off out of this tab that's holding it in. Then you want to grab some pliers and pull this out. It's going to be hard at first, but then once you get it going, it comes out relatively easy, just like that. So this is your old fiber optic lighting. So basically, a beam of light shoots into the end of this here, and it lights up this fiber optic line. BMW was in love with fiber optic crap back in the E9X chassis, and a lot of it fails. They use it to power something with the radios, and there's a whole fiber optic loop in the car. And the lighting in particular was just not bright at all. So I'm going to show you the next step right now. Okay, once you remove the old fiber optic line, next thing you want to do is use something to fish the fiber optic line for the door card into the old ambient lighting channel. I'm just using a piece of the old wire from that light strip to fish the new light strip through the door here. So you're gonna have to play with it with a skinny screwdriver or maybe a knife to get this in here. What I found worked is you put the fish, whatever you're gonna use as a fish line, through here, and then flip the door card over. You're gonna see it come through this side, and then you're gonna play with the knife or skinny screwdriver right here, trying to get the line out like so, and you'll see it freely moves. So you're gonna wanna grab your new line and tape it on like this. Tape it on really well, and then pull it through. Okay, so after you get the line in, you're gonna realize that it's just gonna keep falling out. Next thing you wanna do is, you're gonna have leftover from that one. You're gonna use this, cut up little pieces, and make shims out of it to hold this in place. You're gonna realize it's gonna hold it very tight, very nice. This one fell in too far. I'm gonna adjust it and fix it. But once this is up, you won't even see it, because the old fiber optic, you didn't see the old line, just like you're not gonna see this. So it doesn't matter how it looks. Okay, next you are going to grab a subcontroller kit. You're gonna read the back. Power, light bar, light bar. We're not doing the storage lamp or the handle lamp. We're just going for a more OEM plus integration. We're just replacing the old ambient that's there and adding that one. So you are going to connect this to power just like the main control box, and then you're going to use this for 12 volt. We already know you're going to get 12 volt from the old ambient lighting wires because of that one that we already did. So you can put your multimeter away. You don't need to test any other wires. We're going to use these. And for the people that want power all the time to their ambient lighting, you're just gonna have to go on the forums and find out positive and negative for your window motor regulator, and that's what you're gonna tap into if you want these to run all the time. I just want these to come on with the headlights, so I'm gonna use the old ambient light wires. White and red, positive, brown, negative. Okay, this is my setup here. Connected the box, light bar, I already checked for power, everything works. So now you're just gonna put everything back in reverse order. You're gonna find a nice place for this box, maybe put some double-sided tape, as well as coil up the wire somewhat. You know, you could put it somewhere here. just figure out a good spot where it's not going to be rattling around in the door. And yeah, repeat the same process for the passenger side, and I will show the rear door cards next. One quick thing to note about the passenger side. You got to remove the leather part of the handle because there's an extra T20 on this side. So just keep that in mind. Okay, next step for the rear door. You want to remove the seat. You just pull it up with some good force and it's gonna come up, pop up. Don't mind all these random wires. This is for a subwoofer. Then you're gonna wanna unclip the one clip here that's holding the bottom trim in here. And then you're gonna pull off your trim piece. And there's two T20s here that you wanna remove. One there, one there. And then you're just gonna grab it here and just pull. And it'll come off just like this. Then you're gonna wanna remove this to access the ambient lighting. Okay, you're gonna pull the insulation back. And there is the ambient lighting. And you are gonna wanna do the same thing. Brown is ground. The white and red is positive. And you're gonna take this off just like this. This one's already broken. That's why I'm mainly doing this, because this one got super dim. It didn't match the other ones. These were brighter, but still, the ambient light that comes with the car sucks. It's not bright. So you're gonna do the same thing. You're gonna clip these ends, connect the box, and fish the light through the channel, just like so. And then you are gonna stick it in there. And then put the door card back, pop this in, put the seat back, rinse and repeat for the other side. One thing I will note is in this display, for the brightness of the gauges, you have to keep it all the way up or else it will not supply 12 volts to the ambient lighting kit. And it'll start glitching out, it'll start spazzing, you know, throwing flashy colors. You got to keep it all the way up in the settings. But yeah, this is the finished result. Looks amazing at night.